You're hiking through the woods, late spring, birds chirping, leaves crunching under your boots. You're with your kid, just a peaceful day. Then something moves. It's big and it's fast. You catch a glimpse, hair, shoulders, two legs, and then it jumps 10 feet straight across the trail. Gone. No growl or footsteps, just gone. When you get back to the car, your hands are still shaking, but then you see it. A footprint pressed into the back bumper. And now you're asking, did we just see it? The thing people talk about in whispers, the one we've all laughed off for years. Bigfoot. Everyone's heard of Bigfoot. Some call it a hoax, others call it folklore. But the one thing you can't ignore is the number of people still seeing it. And not just the blurry photos or stories passed down from the 70s. These are recent, detailed, and credible. That encounter in the woods is not unique. In fact, sightings like that one are becoming more common than you think.
This is the moment a TikToker spotted what they believe is Bigfoot, describing it as the
Oh wow, apparently I've been spotted again. Shocker. Must have been my evil twin, Medium Foot.
In May 2025, a father and son were walking a narrow trail near a marsh in Monroe County, Michigan. They heard branches snapping, not the kind you hear from squirrels, but heavy, rhythmic, and getting closer. Then from the trees, something launched across the trail, 10 feet in one bound. It didn't run and it didn't stumble, it just moved. Landed silent, turned his head. The son would later say its head was tucked into his shoulders. No neck, it was watching us. Not fleeing, but tracking.
Official BFRO classification, Class A sighting. Distance, approximately 25 feet. Eyewitness credibility, confirmed by field investigator on location. Physical description, consistent with regional Sasquatch morphology.
They didn't stop to process it. They ran straight to the car. And when they got there, they noticed something was strange. A muddy smear across the back bumper. Within it, a print. Massive, human-shaped, still wet, still detailed. The mud hadn't even dried.
Estimated length, 16.3 inches. Depth of compression, 1.7 inches. Subject weight estimate, 480 pounds. Gait, upright, bipedal. Stride spacing exceeds human biomechanical range.
Now, this wasn't some viral prank. The BFRO reviewed the evidence, and they didn't hesitate to mark it as Class A. Close range, visual confirmation, no signs of fabrication. But see this wasn't isolated. That same month, a hiker in the Cascades captured long, guttural howls on a parabolic mic. In Connecticut, campers reported whooping sounds echoing through the tree line, matched days later by similar reports in Vermont.
Audio signature, 330 to 1,780 hertz. Form and structure suggests non-vocal mimicry. Partial match to Class B Sasquatch vocalizations recorded in 2008, 2012, and 2024. No correlation with known animal calls in the region.
So what are we dealing with here? Because what people are describing doesn't move like a bear, doesn't sound like a moose, and doesn't act like any primate we've ever documented. They say it's a relic hominid, others that is not from here at all. But a growing theory from biologists, trackers, even evolutionary anthropologists suggests something else entirely. That Bigfoot isn't just an animal. It might be what we used to be, or worse, what's left of us. Before the name Bigfoot existed, he already had names, dozens of them. In the forest of the Pacific Northwest, the Coast Salish called it Sasquatch, the wild man. The Lumi told stories of Tse-Emekwes, that's a hard name to pronounce, hairy, tall beings who lived between the worlds. And the Chinook had the Shokum, massive, silent predators that could vanish without a sound. See, these weren't just ghost stories, they were warnings passed down for centuries. Anthropologists dismissed them for years, calling them myths. But some of those same researchers now admit too many cultures across too many continents describe the same thing. And not just vaguely. Hair, height, smell, sounds, the details match.
Database correlation. Over 2,100 global accounts match Bigfoot parameters. Common elements: nocturnal behavior, bipedal gait, foul odor, nonverbal vocalizations. Regional terms include Yeren, China, Yowie, Australia, Yeti, Himalayas, Hibagon, Japan.
And then came the film. October 1967, Bluff Creek, California. Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were out on horseback, looking for a legend. What they found changed the narrative forever. A figure walking upright, covered in thick hair. It glances at the camera once and disappears into the trees. To this day, experts argue about what's in that frame: costume, hoax, or something else.
Subject exhibits consistent gait timing, limb ratios outside standard human range, and natural muscular ripple. No prosthetic seams detected. Motion stabilization analysis yields inconclusive.
Some called it the Zapruder film of cryptozoology. But even if it was fake, the story didn't die. The sightings piled up. The casts, the howls, the legends. But the questions no one wanted to ask was the most obvious. Why do these reports span so many places and so much time?
Hypothesis. The subject is not local. It is persistent. Across eras, across continents. Adaptive, elusive, possibly ancient.
There's one theory gaining ground, and it doesn't begin in the woods. It begins in the bones. The bones of something we thought went extinct 40,000 years ago. We thought they were gone. Neanderthals, extinct for 40,000 years. Primitive, slow, brutish, not like us. But that story was wrong. In 2010, geneticists discovered that most modern humans, especially those of European and Asian descent, still carry Neanderthal DNA. Which means we didn't just outlive them, we met them, we bred with them, and parts of them are still in us.
Average Neanderthal DNA present in modern humans, 1% to 4%. Source: interbreeding events during Homo sapiens expansion across Eurasia, approximately 50,000 years ago.
But that's just the start. In 2023, scientists found something else. A new species, Homo floresiensis, on an Indonesian island. 3 feet tall, small skull, used tools, nicknamed the Hobbit. It wasn't a fluke. The bones dated as recently as 12,000 years ago. And local legends described little hairy people in the jungles still alive.
Reported traits: bipedal, nocturnal, nonverbal, known as Abu-Gogo. Regional oral histories predate scientific discovery by centuries.
Seems that in this episode Nova wants to take the spot. If a species that small, that isolated, survived unnoticed for that long, what about something larger? And here's where it gets strange. In Siberia's Denisova cave, another hominid was discovered. Denisovans, cousins to both us and Neanderthals. We have no full skeleton, just fragments. But DNA shows they were massive.
Denisovan gene variants associated with increased lung capacity, robust skeletal structure, and altitude adaptation. Estimated size, larger than both Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. Sorry, just thought your viewers deserved real data. You know, for your show.
We have evidence of at least 4 different human-like species coexisting on Earth at the same time. But only one survived. Or so we think. Because in the fossil record, there's a silence, a gap. It doesn't show them dying out, it shows them just disappearing.
No definitive extinction event for Neanderthals or Denisovans recorded. Final contact zones, Siberia, Altai Mountains, Western Europe. Post-disappearance, increased anomalous large hominid sightings in northern latitudes.
Skeptics always ask, if Bigfoot is real, where are the bones? But seasoned trackers and wildlife experts say the same thing. In dense forest, the wild reclaims everything. Bodies decay, bones vanish, even bears die without a trace. And if Bigfoot was part human, it might bury its dead. It might hide its dead.
Rainforest decomposition rate, 80% organic matter degraded within 2 weeks. Bone visibility probability after 30 days, less than 2%. Human burial rituals observed in Neanderthal sites across Europe.
Now look again at those witnesses' descriptions. Broad nose, sloped forehead, no chin, deep-set forward-facing eyes. That's not an ape. That's a skull we've seen before. In museums, labeled extinct. And here's the part no one really talks about. We didn't just outlive our cousins, we outcompeted them. We drove them into the cold, into hiding. Maybe we even haunted them. And if even a few survived, they'd remember. Let's just say for a moment that Bigfoot is real. But not just in the way we expect, not just bone and hair and muscle, because there's something stranger at work. Across the US, in places where Bigfoot sightings are most common, there's something else happening. Disappearances. From Washington's Olympic Peninsula to Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, people vanish, without struggle, without tracks, and without explanation.
Search and rescue anomalies noted in 31 high-density Sasquatch regions. Correlation with a missing 411 reports. Statistically significant.
Take the case of Jared Atadero. In 1999, a 3-year-old vanished in Colorado's Comanche Peak wilderness. His remains were found, years later, in a location previously searched multiple times. No blood, no drag marks, but the clothes were folded. No predator known to man behaves that way. And in a dozen of those cases, there's one recurring detail. Strange sounds, low whoops, metallic echoes, voices calling from places no one can see. And sometimes, just sometimes, glimpses, figures, watching, too large to be human, too silent to be anything else.
Acoustic anomalies recorded in missing 411 regions. Subharmonic resonances between 17 Hz and 19 Hz, known to induce disorientation, nausea, and visual distortion.
These aren't just cryptid stories anymore, they are bleed-throughs. Because here's the part that sounds impossible. Some researchers, including former military intelligence personnel, believe these creatures may not be local, in time or in space. During Project Stargate, remote viewers were tasked with targeting unknown creatures. In one case, a subject described the bipedal being in the Pacific Northwest, but not on Earth. On a timeline adjacent to ours. It moved in and out like a flicker. Not quite here, not quite gone.
So hypothesis, intermittent phase state interference. Term, localized dimensional leakage. Related to phenomena observed at Skinwalker Ranch, Mount Shasta, and the Alaska Triangle.
Even some indigenous legends describe it this way. The Shukum wasn't just a creature, it was a guardian of portals, appearing before tragedy, vanishing in the mist. So what if Bigfoot isn't just hiding? What if it doesn't have to? Because it's not always here. Maybe it's slipping through something, a veil, a crack, or a glitch. And every time we see it, it isn't a discovery, it's an accident. Let's say we never catch it. No body, no skeleton, and no clear footage. Would that make it less real? Because maybe Bigfoot isn't just a creature. Maybe it's a mirror, held up to something we lost. Something ancient, wild, uncivilized. Something we buried to build cities, to forget the dark.
Sociological interpretation, Bigfoot represents the tension between modernity and the primitive self, a subconscious echo of pre-agrarian memory.
For thousands of years, we've told stories of beings that walk like us, who live apart from us, in caves, in forests, on mountaintops. Not because they couldn't integrate, but because they choose not to. They are reminders that we weren't always the apex, that we are not alone in the story of humanity. And maybe that's the part that frightens us the most.
The probability of human species encountering parallel hominids in evolutionary past, 100%. Probability that stories of such encounters persisted in folklore, high.
What if Bigfoot isn't a threat? What if it's a warning? A remnant of a path not taken. Not better, not worse, just other. And maybe it's still watching, waiting, wondering if we are ready to meet it. Not with a camera, not with a tranquilizing dart, but with memory, with recognition. Because the eyes people describe, they're not wild, they're familiar. So maybe it's not just a myth. Maybe it's not even a creature. Maybe Bigfoot is a trace memory of something that walked beside us once, and maybe still does.
Memory persists, even when the body does not.
The forest remembers. The question is, do we? Truth? Fiction? You decide.